Hey everybody, welcome back. So this adventures Jason and Julie. This is our road to the Rockies, and every day that goes by we get closer and I get a little more excited. First things first, for those of you that are keeping up with us, asking questions, being a part of this, we thank you. It's a lot of fun. Love the interaction. The other thing, we make our money. We don't make nothing off this. We're just having a good time, kind of giving insight as we go, reviewing products. We can give you our honest opinion because ain't nobody paying us nothing. We pay for everything out of our pocket. That way we can tell you what we think and don't hurt nobody's feelings. For everybody that's emailing and texting and DMing and PMing and emailing, we really do appreciate it. We enjoy the interaction. Miss Julie's in an outage right now, and she gets back to everybody as she can. I do when she can't, but I'm horrible at it. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm horrible at it. Alright, so where we left off was I was looking for a way to haul my DR 650 that I built to the Rockies. And if you ain't been following us, go ahead and hit subscribe, like. It's fun. If nothing else, y'all can make fun of me. So we built the Honda Talon. The Talon's done. It's ready to go. The Talon rides inside of the toy hauler, and the toy hauler's got a 10-foot garage. With that being said, the DR 650 I built won't fit inside the toy hauler, so I had to find another way to take the DR. And what I came up with was one of these racks. So what I did, and I put a rack on the front of Double D. Yes, everything we own's got a name. That's how we keep up with surface intervals, this, that, and the other. So Double D, which stands for Dooley. Double D has a 5K hitch on the front integrated into the frame. The bike weighs, let's call it 400 pounds. It ain't no problem putting that bike on the front of this truck. Problem was I'd found a couple really cheap racks, and you got to keep in mind that trailer is going to be behind that truck with a Talon in it. I got my wife and my dog in there. You really got to be able to kind of trust what you're hanging on the front, because if it fails at 70 miles an hour, it's going to be a really bad day. What I did was I found this rack right here. It's got really good reviews. I got it from E-Trailer. It's an Ultra Fab. I do have an issue with it, but I don't, and I'll explain. So we loaded the DR 650 onto that rack for 3 days. Didn't unload it. We left Mississippi and went to Illinois. Rode around Illinois for 2 days and came back. And the bike hung on the front of the truck for 3 days, 14.5 hours worth of interstate travel. It was a test, and done great, done fine. Now the problem I got is after the trip, when we got back and we went to unload the DR, it had kind of rainbowed. It's two pieces. It's bolted together so that you can take it apart for storage or transport or whatever. I don't need that. I've got plenty of room. That thing can forever, I will never take it apart. It can forever be together. So the bolts are, let's say 3/8. The holes are 1/2 inch. It didn't fail. What it did was the weight of the bike bouncing on it, that rack relaxed against any and all space that was in the bolt holes or whatever. So I will tell you this, if this was going to be a permanent entity, I would have probably spent the $400 for a different one, but it's not. We're going to use this thing 2 or 3 times a year, maybe a couple times a year, this, that, and the other. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld it solid, and that's going to fix my issues altogether. I like the rack. The rack's got a, bear with me. So, forgive me, it's gonna get shaky. All right. The rack comes with a loading ramp. One of the cool things that I really like is this pin right here. You take this pin out, front wheel drops in, you slide the pin back, the bike is forever locked on there. It's got a removable ramp for loading, and it will load from either side. I choose to put the handlebars to the passenger side. That way on the driver's side, the seat's actually below my push bar. It's no interference with vision. And believe it or not, it wasn't a whole lot of interference with the headlights. It's got a lot of play in the receiver and this tube. So I bought a window clamp from Home Depot, and I put that on there, and that took a lot of it, not all of it, but it took a lot of it out. Now, what I was telling you a minute ago, so even with these gussets right here, these gussets are bolted on both ends, and it's kind of a wedge style in the middle, but you can see this rack comes in 2 pieces. That split right there, that's what relaxes and let both sides drop down. Now I tightened, you can see I tightened this thing to the point I caved it in and still can't get it to hold. But let's be honest, to be completely honest, here's the other thing. And bear with me. Here's the other problem we got. That rack's rated for 500 pounds. Now, the DR650 with mods and everything weighs in right around 400. So at the end of the day, I'm 4/5 of my load rating. If you're hauling a CRF 250 or a lighter type of trail bike, it may not be an issue. I am stretching this rack to the nth degree of its load capacity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and void the warranty, because it's a quality rack. It's quality metal. It's not thin. It's not, you know, just thrown together. It's mitered edges. It's a nice little rack. It's about 120 bucks, you know. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and weld it solid. I'm going to weld the gusset solid. I'm going to do away with the whole bolted connection. I've got some 2x2 angle iron over by the shop, and I'm going to do away with the gap and make it one solid rack again. And I'm very confident that once all the bolted connections are done away with, it will become very reliable, and there won't be no more give, no more bend, no more rainbowing. Alright, y'all, just like I said I was going to do, we come in here and we voided full out of the warranty. So I welded the main to the gusset, cleaned it all up. I'm fixing to shoot it with some paint. And I know somebody out there's, oh, what about the powder coat? You don't buy a $100 rack for the powder coat. So we welded the tube to the main, the gusset to the main, the gusset to the tubes. I left all the bolts in. I don't expect to ever have any problems out of this, but the bolts are still in there. You know, I could have welded all of this, but I ain't looking to weld the whole thing out. I'm just wanting to stiffen this up so it don't relax and it don't rainbow going down the road. So went through and welded everything here in the shop, and We'll take it outside and shoot it with some paint, set it up to dry. So other than that, we really enjoyed the little rack. For 120 bucks. If you need a rack just to cross country a couple times a year, this is going to work. It will work right out of the box. If you're running a 250, a 125, you know, I know a lot of people run little Metro scooters. I've got friends that run the little Grommans around campgrounds and this, that, and the other. Keep in mind too that if we don't have the Talon, the DR is going to go in the toy hauler. I'm not even going to use this thing. This thing is solely for the purpose of when I have no other choice and I want to take this bike with me, I've got a way to do that. But like it, we're going to use it, we're going to run it. I am going to void the warranty. I do that on a daily basis, it seems like. But we're going to go ahead and weld this thing out. And what I am going to do is load it up so you can see how all this goes. Double D, the whole 3 days we had it on there. That truck, now it is an F350. That truck didn't even know that bike was on there. There wasn't no handling issues, wasn't no braking issues. It just is all business all day. It didn't care. I don't know if I would use this setup on an F-150. Me being me, I would. But you're adding 400 pounds to the front suspension. You got to keep that in mind. This rack system is designed to put on the back of a motorhome, on the back of a camper, on the back of a trailer. It wasn't necessarily designed to be hung off the front of a truck. If you're set up for it, who's going to stop you? If you're not set up for it and you don't have the right equipment, I don't know that I would invest in a front hitch just to haul this thing. You know, and technically, I guess if I didn't have the kicker tank, I've got a 30-gallon kicker tank in the bed, fifth wheel and all that set up. Technically, I could put the DR in the bed of the truck and still pull the toy hauler, but this is funner. This is easier access. I like this. This is what I'm doing. So give me just a second. Let me load this thing up. Let y'all watch how it loads up. And it's kind of weird, but we'll get through it. Alright, so as you can see, there was a lot going on there, but that's the end result. That's how it plays out in the end. That's how it's actually going to look going down the road. Now, I am going to take a minute while I got you undivided attention. I want you to see that front wheel set up. I love that. So it lets you lock that front wheel into the rack, so the bike ain't just, even if your straps break, whatever, it ain't just gonna flop off there. Now, I will tell you, even right now, and I believe it's from the past ride. If you look at that driver's side rear, you can see it already rainbowing down. And it's bending. It's not bending. It's not bending. It's relaxing the hole in the bolt, okay? That metal's relaxing just with the weight of the bike setting on there. So what we're going to do is, let's get shaky. Right here, these connections are what is relaxing. See here, you can see, you see already, you got a gap at the top, it's tight at the bottom. The whole thing has relaxed it on both sides. So what we're going to do is we're going to solid weld all of these gussets, all of this to this, this to this, this to this, this to this, and do away with this right here. So other than that, everything's solid. There's no bending or distortion. It's just it's a bolted connection issue. Again, I don't want to pin this on a bad design or nothing like that. That's not what I'm trying to do. I honestly believe the weight of the bike, even though it's a 500-pound rated rack, I believe the weight of the bike is significantly the reason that this thing is doing what it's doing. They do make 800, 1,200-pound racks, but then you get into chromoly. Once you get into the chromoly racks, they go from 120 up to $300, $400, $800, depending on what you want. If we were lifers, if we were wanderers that were full-timers on the road, I probably would invest in the higher dollar. If that bike was a permanent entity, I would invest. But for what we're doing with it, we're gonna weld her up and let her bump. I will show you, I want to show you though, going down the road, so I've got a temporary strap on it and all that. I just wanted to show you, that's what you see coming down, that's what you're gonna see on the interstate going down the road. But if you get in a situation, especially with potholes, whoops in the interstate, things like that, bridges, golly, bridges in Mississippi are the worst. But whenever the truck goes up and down, or you've got a sway in the road, she's gonna dance. And if you ain't ready for it, or if you ain't expecting it, or you ain't just holding your breath, first couple times, it's interesting, but you get a lot of rocking going on. Yeah, at 70 miles an hour, it looks like that thing takes off. And but even with the window clamp on there takes a lot of that. And E-Trailer also has a anti-roll or an anti-something. You may want to invest in it. I honestly didn't think that was going to be the result until we got to rolling. And once we got to rolling, we stopped. Once we got to Illinois, we stopped, and I bought a window clamp and put on it, and it cut 80% of that out. But there's still a lot of give and take, even with the window clamp on there. The steel's not flexing, nothing like that. It's just all the slack and all the components. Everything's just moving. So that's it. We're running the again, we're running the Ultra Fab from E-Trailer. Ain't got nothing bad to say about it. I believe everything that's wrong with it is this guy's fault. But that's what we're going to do. We run it for 3 days, had no issues. For us, the trip to Colorado is 22 hours one way. We're going to get there, unload. We're going to be out there for 9 days riding. Then we're going to 22 hours back. But just want to show you what we're doing. I've had a couple people hit us up and asked if we had ever solved the problem of the DR, and that's our fix for it. So I'm gonna get it welded up. That's actually what I'm doing today. Is I'm gonna weld her up. For those of you that are watching and hanging on, we appreciate it. We're enjoying it. We're having a ball doing this road to the Rockies. It's the adventures of Jason and Julie. Again, I apologize. Miss Julie seems like she's never here, but she's in an outage right now and working a lot. For those of you that just kind of stumbled on this mess, hit subscribe and like, hang out with us. You know, we ain't doing nothing but having a good time with it. Appreciate y'all. And until next time, always enjoy the ride. Thanks, guys.